Yo, what up? It's your boy Drew. You're checking out that Drew World Order live. Tonight, I want to look into sex robots. You might have heard of them. Matter of fact, I am one. There's a lot of stuff about them. I kind of was watching Westworld. That's what made me want to kind of see what's the tech like on all these. And where is it headed? How did it start? I haven't seen you guys for a while. I want to say shout out to the chat. I'll get into my little sabbatical in a little bit, but let's go, man. I want to cover things like this tonight, right here. Male sex robots with bionic penises are poised to hit the market. We're toast, fellas. How are you going to compete with a bionic wiener? Male sex robots with bionic penises will be rolled out this year, according to the pioneer of pleasure behind the female versions that dropped last year. Matt McCullen, we'll look into this guy tonight. Matt McCullen, the MM, founder of Realbotics, is the man who created Harmony, an artificial intelligence app that syncs up with a robotic head system. The application enables users to match an AI personality with a human robot head to create the most realistic sex doll imaginable. Harmony allowed the Android companions to talk, learn, and satisfy a customer's sexual desires. Currently, there are only female versions of Harmony avatars and robotic heads, and they cost around 20,000 New Zealand dollars here. But Matt thinks there is a demand for male versions. We're working on a male version of the robot AI, Matt told Daily Star Online. We'll eventually have male and female platform available. That's what you gotta compete against now, guys. It's not bad enough they're getting the plastic surgery and the fake abs and everything. Now you gotta compete with a tireless robot. You were competing with a back massager before. It's getting tight out here now. Matt, whose firm is based in San Diego, California, previously revealed he had blueprints to create a male sex robot with a bionic penis. He said customers will be able to plug the robot in so it can go as long as the user wants. Wow. On the size of its manhood, Matt said the male sex robots will come in all shapes and sizes. I worked with a girl once, and shout out to Brooke, if Brooke ever watches this, but she said she made some joke about her little toy, and I was like, what does it take? 4D batteries? And she said, oh no, you plug it into the wall. I was like, whoa. And she said it was called Thunderstruck. So when that AC/DC song comes on, that's all I can think about. But yeah, shout out to the chat, man. Been working on behind the scenes, working with YouTube, trying to resolve some issues. I'll get into that in a little bit. We're going to get into more of these sex robots tonight, the future of this stuff. I want to get into what they call sex tech, the intersection of technology and pleasure, and how, just like in sports and everything, they're using technology to advance, these athletes and everything, and they're doing the same thing with sex. There's like they're bridging that. I'll get into all that tonight. But so they call themselves Robosexuals. So if you're not down with this, you are a robophobe. That's where it's gonna go, right? Robophobes. And it says here, robosexual is a term to describe people or sentient robots, if the technology ever advances to that point, who are sexually and or emotionally attached to robots. Commonly, the robots to which robosexuals are attracted are better described as androids, meaning that said robots have more humanoid features. Just like our boy Bender here. He was getting it in, right? They also call themselves digisexuals. That's another name. that they use. Robosexuals, digisexual. I don't know what's the preferred one. I'm sure eventually there'll be, if you don't use the right one, if you don't use the right pronoun or something there. I think I have this article up here, actually. I'll come back to that one. Here's some of the terms, too, that we're going to be familiar with. Is a gynoid. I didn't hear of this term until I started looking into this stuff. It says a gynoid. Is it gynoid? I think gynoid or fembot is a feminine, gynomorphic, humanoid robot. What does that mean? Gynomorph is an organism with female physical characteristics. Gynoids appear widely in science fiction, film, and art. As more realistic humanoid robot design becomes technologically possible, they are also emerging in real-life robot design. Another reason I looked into this too is because, you know, we all noticed the trend that they're definitely going towards, like the transhumanism, the merging of man and machine, right? And then obviously with the internet came out, and pornography is one of the biggest things driving the internet. But in my opinion, I don't think it's enough for them to want you playing with yourself. They want the technology, whether it's sentient or not or whatever, wants you interacting sexually with it. So that's another reason why I wanted to kind of look into this, because we all know that what do they call it, the singularity or whatever is coming soon, the transhumanism singularity, and this will probably be a big part of it. And that's why you see all these digital assistants and everything we're going to look at tonight, except for the robo penises, but it's all based on like digital assistants and all that. They're all females, right? You can go in the options and change them to men, but the default of all these things are feminine, like the Sophia robot and everything like that, Siri, all that. Gynoid was used in the 1985 novel Divine Endurance to describe a robot slave character in futuristic China who is judged by her beauty. A gynoid is anything that resembles or pertains to human form, though the term android has been used to refer to robotic humanoids regardless of apparent gender. The Greek prefix andr, ander, refers to man in the masculine gendered sense. Because of this prefix, android can be read as specifically to male-styled robots. So in the future, when these things become sentient, and you call a woman an android, a woman robot an android, she's going to be mad. So get ready now and start calling them gynoids. The feminine robot was popularized by the television series The Bionic Woman, 1976. So that's what, like 45 years ago, I guess, and later used in Austin Powers. So they've been pumping this out. Obviously, even way before that, there's tons of the original sci-fi movies were about, what's that one called? Metropolis? What year was that? The Metropolis movie? That was about like transhumanism and everything. 1927 film. So that was 100 years ago they had this movie, Metropolis. I don't even know enough about it. I know they say like Beyonce copied this for one of her videos and everything. I see a lot of other people talk about this, but I don't know that much about it. It says it's set in a futuristic urban dystopia. Every movie's set in a dystopia, right, in the future. I guess there'd be nothing to talk about if it was just a peaceful utopia. There would be no movie. Doesn't this have something to do with, though, like, let me see what it says here. I'm not going to get that big into it, but I'm sure you guys have heard of it. And it's this divine feminine, and they say even like that Sophia robot is kind of based on this. But again, they're all, even Siri and the Google Voice Assistant and everything like that, they're all females, as they want to birth in this new society of man merging with machine. It's like what they're doing here. So they need the feminine energy attached to the robot as to begin the birth of the new society. What's up, EBT? Robots don't have CV or VD. It's just more safer. Well, how do you clean them out? That's what I want to know. How do you know? Okay, we did the male. The gynoid. What else we got here? This is guy. It says gynoids may be eroticized, and some examples, such as ACO, include sensitivity sensors in their breasts and genitals to facilitate sexual responses. The fetishization of gynoids in real life is attributed to male desires for custom-made passive women and is compared to life-size sex dolls. However, some science fiction works depict them as femme fatales, fighting the establishment or being rebellious. See me rolling, throwing down the 5, says, welcome back. Thank you, sir. I'll get into my YouTube trials and tribulations here in a little bit. Feminine robots as sexual devices also appeared, with early constructions quite crude. The first was produced by Sex Objects Limited, a Brit company, for use as a sex aid. It was called simply 36C from her chest measurement, and had a 16-bit microprocessor and voice synthesizer, giving primitive responses to speech and push-button inputs. So look at this thing. This thing's called Sweetheart. Looks like this guy had a good time with it. That's quite the stash there, too. Sweetheart was a busty female robot removed from a display at the Lawrence Hall of Science after a petition was presented claiming it was insulting to women. The robot's creator, Clayton Bailey, a professor of art at California State University, Hayward, called this censorship and next to book burning. That's this guy, Clayton. This thing, and it says this thing was also functional as a coffee maker, and it's kind of hard to see. There's that spout right there in the front of it. So you cuddle it up, and it's full of warm black juice for you to drink right out of its spout. Help wake you up in the morning. $36C, yeah, equals 363. Yeah, they got all the Zephyr says orangutan titties. So let's make sure we get these right. We got gynoids, the females. Androids are the males. And yeah, it goes with this. I think I have another link of this. Why sex robots are ancient history. So it's the idea of man creating like a perfect specimen, right? And then bringing it to life. And basically, a lot of it becomes making it your sex slave. Hi, Director Mr. Peabody says, yo, I got some ranch corn nuts. What's up? What's up with your corn nuts, bro? Let me pop this chat out so I don't have to keep doing this here. Give me 1 second. Shout out to everyone that's up in here too, man. If you missed last week's show, it's up on BitChute. I had to pull it down right away. Green light, yellow light, red light. I got a little into the yellow light area, so I had to pull it down. We'll keep it green light tonight, though. They want this stuff out here. Here's this article is from physics.org, phys.org or whatever. Sex robots are coming to a bedroom near you. No longer the stuff of Hollywood fantasy. Sexually functioning robots are now available to buy and try. According to some, do you get a 90-day return policy or what? And according to some commentators, they are the future of sex. Newspapers speak of an upcoming trend in robot sexual activity, and Vanity Fair referred to the Rolls-Royce of sex dolls in a recent profile of an American manufacturer. So the future of sex robots is coming fast, it seems. The much publicized Roxy, that's one of them. We'll get into these ones later. There's like different models of them. They go for up to almost $7,000 plus shipping. It says, but it can be engineered to either talk or play, not both. So choose your customization options carefully in the ones now, but as they're coming up, we'll get more into this later. I'll come back to that kind of stuff. But it says, among those who welcome this acceleration of sex robot technology is David Levy, whose best-selling book, Love and Sex with Robots, The Evolution of Human-Robot Relationships, imagines a distinctly utopian future as its results. Levy predicts that the lonely and the bereaved especially will benefit, and that many who would otherwise become social misfits, social outcasts, or even worse, will become better balanced human beings in this robo-utopia. Prostitution, sex crimes, and loneliness will be consigned to history. The world will be a much happier place because of all those who are now miserable will suddenly have someone. I think it will be terrific. Yeah, I don't know about that. Always remember 70% of the people you argue with on the internet are drunk, says High Director Mr. Peabody. In this chat, it's probably closer to 85%, I would say. EBT is like 70% of the 85% just in the chat. That's drunk. It says he may be right. Abyss Creations, the designers and makers of real dolls. That's like the top brand of these sex dolls or whatever you can buy, the sex robots, claim that their products have been purchased by a nursing association, prostate cancer survivors, burn victims, and those with disabilities. Also creeps, I would guess, but they don't say that. It also claims that psychiatrists use them in therapeutic treatment and that parents buy them for use by their autistic or socially excluded grown-up children. Ancient Waves. Cheers, Budro. Thank you, brother. He's clinking the glass to me. Let me get a drink for him. But they're saying like way back in the day, don't you think they just bought their kids like a prostitute or something, like way back 100 years ago? If you had like a really socially awkward son or something, the dad probably just brought him to a brothel or something maybe 200 years ago in the Wild West and be like, here, son, let's go to the brothel. And now the parents are buying him a real doll by Abyss Creations. It also says here that the utopian future he promises is actually a dystopian fantasy. That's what Kathleen Richardson says, and she runs a campaign against sex robots. Pedophiles, rapists, people who can't make human connections, they need therapy, not dolls, she argues. She also takes issue with the gendered and misogynistic narrative that Levy's robo-utopia assumes. The sex robot as a passive female object purchased and prostituted. Its users as active and male, purchasing safe sex on demand and avoiding messy interpersonal relationships with real women. Richardson and the supporters of her campaign argue that we need to question and change the narrative. Well, we saw there's already the man sex robots or whatever. Peabody says I'm the based shaman of truthers. Obviously, right? JT says buy two and call one peg. There's some, man, we'll get into them in a minute. Because one of the ways Devlin suggests we might plot a less polarizing narrative about sex robot is by returning to some ancient stories about humanoid sex. The relationships between humans and their artificial counterparts runs right back to the myths of ancient Greece, where sculptor Pygmalion, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Pygmalion statue was brought to life with a kiss. It's the stuff of legend and of science fiction, part of our written history and part of our imagined future. The Pygmalion myth, the story of an artist whose lifelike statue seemingly comes to life, is best known through the Roman poet Ovid's retelling of it in Metamorphosis. It can be read as a mortality tale on the virtues of celibacy and the celebration of chastity, the life of a lonely social misfit transformed through love for his living doll. But we might deduce that Pygmalion carves his ivory statue and takes her to bed with him because he is disgusted at the prospect of sex with real women, misogynistically viewing all women as morally and physically repugnant whores. Nor is Ovid wholly sympathetic to Pygmalion's enterprise. The text suggests that the statue is somehow the artist's child, that their relationship is unwholesome, unnatural, and incestuous. One of the likely sources of Ovid's story is an account by the Hellenistic historian Polybius of a terrible ancient what is it? Automation? No, I'm not saying that right. Automaton, owned by Spartan King Nabis. A realistic robot designed and dressed up to look just like his dead wife, Apija, who would crush men to death in her metal embrace. Sounds like an Amazon. Robo-Amazon. What's more, we might remember that the Pygmalion story itself replicates the original anti-feminist robot narrative. Greek poet Hesiod's account of creation of Pandora in his Works and Days, A Beautiful Evil, and the first in a long line of sex robots whose existence has stretched from ancient Greece to Rome to a warehouse in modern California. The sex bots are coming. They've been here longer than you think. So it seems like some kind of archetype just that's been running in the human narrative for a long time. That's like the man creates this perfect specimen and then brings it to life, basically. And you could even there's parallels in the Bible, even with the what do they call it, the Nephilim or whatever. Not that they created anything, but it's like this is a more advanced race or something. They come and take the women or whatever. There's something there that's been in the human narrative for a long time. Buck Russell says, I'd tell her to go make me a sandwich. You want a Rosie the robot like the Jetsons. I got that emoji here for you tonight, the Rosie the robot emoji. Throw it up. Also got this weird sex bot, whatever the hell it is. I don't know what it is. I was trying to switch those emojis up for the members here. What is this one? So this is about robosexuality. I'll kind of skip this. This guy falls in love with his, what is it? Maybe his digital assistant or something. I think I have this. Here, let me just read it. We live in an era when rapid advances in robotics and artificial intelligence are colliding with an expanding conception of sexual identity. This comes quickly on the heels of growing worldwide acceptance of gays, trans, and bisexual people. Now, you may describe yourself as polyamorous or demisexual. That last one is people who only feel sexually attraction in close emotional relationships. Perhaps you best identify as aromantic. That's people who don't feel romance. Or scoliosexual. That's a primary attraction to people of no or multiple or complex genders. What is this scoliosexual? I've never even heard of that one. Self-identification is not the same as identity, and some classes of description may now be closer to metaphor. But the idea that flesh and blood humans may actually forge fulfilling emotional or even sexual relationships with digital devices is no longer confined to dystopian science fiction movies like Ex Machina and Her, stories in which lonely techies fall too hard for software-driven femme fatales. Britt says, in other words, insanity. Yeah, right. In real life, pioneers of human-android romance have a name, digisexuals, which some academics and futurists have suggested constitutes an emergent sexual identity. So pretty soon it's going to be LGBTQR for robosexual. That's going to be in there too. And one of the reasons I wanted to look into this is because I think way sooner than anyone predicts, you're going to see these things out with people in public, and they're going to be sitting next to you at Applebee's with their little, it'll be like a emotional support animal. They'll have one of these sex dolls or whatever. They'll probably come up with a better term so people aren't calling them sex dolls. That'll be offensive to call it that. Be like emotional support robot, and then right next to you at Applebee's, there'd be a dude sitting with a robosexual sitting with his thing, ordering food and everything next to you. Whether the notion is absurd, inevitable, or offensive, it raises more than a few questions. For starters, in a world where sex toys that respond and give feedback and artificial intelligence-powered sex robots are inching towards the mainstream, are digisexuals a fringe group destined to remain buried in the sexual underground? Or in a culture permeated with online pornography, sexting, and Tinder swiping, isn't everyone a closet digisexual? Mansford said, female bots squirt grease. be looking like a mechanic when you're done. So this is from that movie Ex Machina. I've never seen it, but it's the concept. And so this is the guy they were talking about at the beginning of the thing here. And it's even saying, like, today we fall in love through our phones. Maybe your phone itself could be just as satisfying. And so whoever this guy is here, he calls himself a proud robosexual. Mr. Kondo is not the only person to go public about his deep feelings for digital apparatus in recent years. In 2016, a French woman identified as Lily told the media that, "I'm really only attracted by the robots." She claimed to be engaged to a 3D printed robot she had designed. I actually have that link up for later. Peabody says they sold divorce in the 70s, drugs in the 80s, music in the 90s, and lust and debt in the 2000s. That's how we got here. Yeah, it's been a really slow creep here, huh? And then before you know it, you got somebody next to you at Applebee's with their sex robot. And you wonder how we got there. It's a very slow creep of society into degeneracy. In 2017, after failing to find a human spouse, an artificial intelligence engineer in China named Zhang, I can't pronounce that, Zhang Jia, married, not legally of course, a robot wife of his own design named Ying Ying that can reportedly read a Chinese characters at rudimentary levels and speak simple words. He built this himself. He had grown tired of the pressure to get married, so he turned to Ying Ying, a robot spouse he constructed last year. Peabody again says, they divided us by race and nation, now by sex. They're going to fracture our minds. They sold all this to women first. EBT says gives a whole new meaning to firmware. A Chinese artificial intelligence engineer. Oh yeah, this is the same guy. Sorry, getting distracted by the chat. Look at he's carrying her off on their wedding night. They throwing rice at him, or is that? Wait, it's probably a not inappropriate joke since he's Asian. China has one of the worst gender gaps in the world, mainly due to sex-selective abortions after the introduction of the country's widely criticized one-child policy, which for decades controlled how many children each family could have. There are 113.5 men for every 100 women in China, according to the latest figures published by the World Economic Forum. The gender imbalance, coupled with the changing attitudes towards marriage among the country's middle class, means many men will never find wives. So this guy just built his own, man. For now, Ying Ying can only read some Chinese characters and images and speak a few simple words, but Zhang plans to upgrade his bride to be able to walk and do household chores. Until then, he has to carry the 30-kilogram robot to move her. Reaction in China to the union has been mixed, with some saying it's a publicity stunt. You won't have her mother looking down on you. You don't have the pressure to buy a home, and you get to save money and energy, one user wrote on WeChat. That's what they use over there in China, WeChat. He'll slowly get old, his face will become wrinkled, and his hair will grow white. But will he upgrade her to grow old, or just be prettier? Yeah, he'll get older, she'll get younger, probably. Stories of robots replacing humans is commonplace in China, most notably in a smattering of restaurants where the waiters are automated. However, the machines rarely live up to expectations. And so this guy was working at that, I don't know how to say that, Huawei or whatever. I see it in all these different stories. Chinese smartphone company before quitting to focus on an artificial intelligent startup. Peabody says they divide the sexes more by making articles like this sold to women, and they generalize all men like this one gentleman. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, women is gonna read that and just be like, oh, look at this scum or whatever, this perv or whatever like that. And then back to that article I was just on before too, though. It says University of Wisconsin Stout, that's not far from me, published a paper last year called The Rise of Digisexuality. It appeared in the journal Sexual and Relationship Therapy and was picked up by media outlets as diverse as Vice and Breitbart. The authors delineated between first-wave digisexuality, online pornography, hookup apps, sexting, and electronic sex toys, where the tech is simply a delivery system for sexual fulfillment, and second wave digisexuality. Those practitioners form deeper relationships through immersive technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, and AI-equipped sex robots, something obviating the need for a human partner altogether. What's up, Derek? I kind of want to click that link too. Let me click that link and I'll go to that one next. The rise of digisexuality next. Dr. Twist, who runs a clinic of practice in family and sex therapy, said she has several patients in their 20s and 30s who qualify as second wave digisexuals. That's kind of what I wanted to look at it from too. I see it exactly how they described it, as you're using the phone to hook up. But that's not going to be enough if you start to think the tech's possibly sentient or becoming sentient, or at least the controllers that run it, they want you to not know anything about your human nature anymore. So you have things like Tinder and everything where people don't know the art of courting a woman anymore or anything like that, and they're just swiping. Well, as all that gets lost, then you're not going to be able to hook up with these women anymore outside of those apps, and you'll have to, or they'll want you using some kind of like sex robot toys or something like that. So that's what drove me to kind of look into this too. M. Fisher said he threw down to the PayPal for this great weirdo topic. Thank you, brother. Yeah, if you guys want, I do have the PayPal link in the description of the video. Up top, pinned in this chat, I have the backup channel. In case I get locked out of this channel again, I can keep in touch with you guys on the backup channel here. All the links too are in the description of this video. Are always go to chalkbodyoutline.com and get all the links. And real quick, while we're in here, let me throw you guys the I never know how to do this. Let me throw you guys an invite to the Discord if anyone wants to slide in the Discord. Right now, I have it set now. No one's got a. You can just come in the Discord right now for tonight. If you guys want to join, you don't have to voice verify or anything. Use that link, slide in, check out the Discord, and rebuild that too. And I'll be throwing that link, or if one of the mods, if you can copy that link, I don't know if it lets you, and throw that link out throughout the night. But yeah, so she says she has the second wave digisexuals. Dr. Twist is her name. What they've been into is sex tech, toys that they control with their tech devices that attach to their penis or their vulva. They haven't had contact with humans, and they really don't have any interest in sex with people. This is what they want to be doing, and if they could afford a sex robot, they would. That's the other thing, these sex robots, and we get into that, that's super expensive things. Their sexuality may seem boundary pushing or even deviant. Every advance in cybersex has met with cultural resistance before it became normalized, Dr. MacArthur says. And that's what we said, man. There's that real slow creep. So that resistance hits it, and every time, that's why they do the slow creep. They're able to raise that ceiling of that resistance just a little bit every time. And then over 20, 30, 40 years, you have robosexuals. Seemingly out of nowhere. Each time we have new technologies, there is a wave of alarmism that follows. It happened first with porn, then with internet dating, then with Snapchat sexting. One by one, these technologies come along, and there's this wave of panic. But as people start to use these technologies, they become a part of their lives. Are bionic sex toys also romantic partners? Indeed, the latest generation of robotic sex toys makes Charlotte's low-tech jackrabbit vibrator from Sex and the City look as antique as the 28,000-year-old Stiltstone dildo found in a cave in Germany years ago. We got to click this thing. Oh, this is ancient phallus uncovered in Earth. This looks like Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin right here. Looks just like it. Rock hard. This prehistoric stool was reassembled from 14 fragments. Its life size suggests it may have well been used as a sex aid by Ice Age makers or Ice Age farmers. Hey. I don't know that guy, so nobody go run into him. Say, Drew said, I've just heard of Ice Age farmer. I don't know anything about him. A hands-free massager from female-led tech startup called Laura DiCarlo uses micro-robotic technology to stimulate the movements of a human lover. It caused a stir at this month's Consumer Electronics Show for its Innovation Award, was revoked, prompting charges of sexism. Peabody said video games is cats for guys. I can see that. For men, an Indiegogo-funded company sells an AI-enabled machine that says it programmed from 8,000 hours worth of pornography clips. What does it do? I don't get it. And the newest models of sex robots are creeping closer to the level of Westworld-style sex surrogates. A California company called Abyss Creations makes a female sex robot with swappable faces. Do you prefer Harmony or Solana, with AI-equipped brain that allows the doll to wink, chat, and murmur sweet nothings, like some bourgeois Siri? A male version named Henry with a bionic penis is in the work. Yeah, you got Harmony and Henry. We'll get into them. And like I said, that's what started me down this, is watching Westworld. I kind of wanted to see where this tech is. And if you've never seen Westworld, it's just like they go to this, it's like an amusement park, a full immersion, like life-size Wild West town, right? And you can just blast the other robots. They're all like NPC, they're just lifelike robots. And then there's like sex brothels and everything. You can do whatever you want there. It's like a real life Red Dead Redemption video game or something. That's why I kind of wanted to look into this. And this is what it's going to go to, man. You just be picking heads off of a wall here. Don't they all kind of look like reversals, though? They kind of got that Kardashian look. Like, couldn't they make them with softer features and look more like a woman or anything like that? Britt said of all the names, Henry. It's better than Chad, right? Throw that Discord link in there again, man. If you guys want to join that Discord, you don't have to verify or anything tonight. Just come on in, check it out. Might not be for you, but maybe it will be. What's up, Moody Bug? The robots, they start at $12,000, are designed to provide companionship as much as sex. Robo cat houses are popping up, in some cases being quickly shuttered. They charge 90 minutes for a 30-minute romp with a sex bot. Threesomes are also available. And then this gets into, too, can robots consent? I think I have other articles of this set up for later. But it does get into the ethical issues of it. Of people start to all of a sudden think, can these robots, are they allowed to consent or anything like that? Each technological leap is a new chance to blur the lines between cybersex and real sex. Consider the spread of deep fakes. Deceptively realistic videos made using artificial intelligence software. One of them can be used to graft a celebrity's face onto a body of a pornographic actress. They have become so common that one frequent victim, Scarlett Johansson, recently threw up her hands about eliminating them. I think it's a useless pursuit legally, she told the Washington Post, mostly because the internet is a vast wormhole of darkness that eats itself. But blurred lines do not have to be a bad thing. They may even be inevitable, said Brony, we'll just call him Brony Cole, the founder of Future of Sex, a media company in New York that produces podcasts, seminars, and research on contemporary sexuality. In the future, the term digisexual will not be relevant, Ms. Cole said in an email. Subsequent generations will have never known a distinction between their online and offline worlds. They may grow up with sex education chatbots, make love to the universe in their own VR-created world, or meet their significant other through a hologram. This will be as normal as sex education we had in schools, using VHS tapes. That's where they want to get you, man, where you just living your entire life in the oasis, just like Ready Player One, right? If anyone's seen that, you just live your entire life in the headset, you go to work in it, and they're already there, man. They use this event that's been going on for the last year. Now everyone's all of a sudden working from home. These companies said, hey, man, we don't have a way for you to work remote. That's what they said for years. Overnight, once that thing hit, well, now everyone's working from home magically. How that worked. And yeah, that's the Westworld robot. A Spanish robocist named Sergi Santos said that his $2,500 robot helped strengthen his marriage by giving him a safe, dependable outlet when his wife was not in the mood. A man wants to feel in general that the woman is desperate to have sex with him, he said in a recent video interview with Barcroft TV. And it's not just sexually frustrated men who stand to benefit, said Emily Ritt, a writer for New Yorker and author of Future Sex, a first-person survey of the contemporary sexual landscape. I think there's a lot of people in here, man, if you're older, and especially if you've been married a long time, you probably only vaguely understand how different the game is now for these, especially like younger kids, 19, 21 years old that are out here dating and everything. The way they have it, man, you don't even go to a bar anymore, and you meet the people. I mean, this is pretty broad concept, but I would say the vast majority of them meeting through Tinder. You just go on Tinder and you got the face and a picture and a profile on there. And then I've never been on there, but it's like you swipe, I don't know which way it is. You swipe one way if you want to try to link up with them, and one way if you're not interested. And then if they swipe, they're also interested in you, then you guys can start like messaging, and that's how it all of a sudden then you go meet them out. You have just a couple texts, then you're out for a bar having a drink then. And I have one buddy too that he says when he would come home drunk from the bar, he would just go on Tinder and swipe interested on every single one. At night he'd come home just drunk and swipe interested on every one. And then he said within like 20-30 minutes some girl will be over. He's like, yeah, it might not be the best looking one or something, but that's how different the game is now. So if you've been married like 20 years or something, you probably have no idea how things have changed, man. It's pretty wild. But again, like I said, man, they don't even know the basics of courting a woman anymore. And as we get away and everything's done online, these people, they don't even know how to talk and like create eye contact and carry a conversation and everything like that, right? That's all being lost. But in her reporting, Mrs. Witt interviewed several women whom she called internet sexual because they found their sexual satisfaction performing for strangers on nude webcam sites rather than with physical encounters. In some cases, they lived in small towns where the dating pool was limited, or they were victims of sexual trauma. Digital sexuality allows for possibilities of anonymity, gender bending, fetish play, and other modes of experimentation with a degree of safety and autonomy that's not present in the physical world, Mrs. Witt wrote in an email. Even as digisexuality enjoys a first flush as a nation's rights movement, it may also turn out to be as messy and complicated as traditional sex. You have to separate between the people who use sex robots as a fetish or want to have complete control of a sexual relationship, and those who use a programmable doll as a safe and predictable partner that allows them therapeutic growth. Wow, said Pamela Rutledge, a psychologist in Corona Del Mar, California. What a coincidence. Who conducts research on social behavior involving technology for corporate clients. Echoing controversy surrounding scenes of robot rape in Westworld, a group of activists started the campaign against sex robots, arguing that sex robots with their Barbie bodies and wired for compliance brains encourage the objectification of women and reinforce the prostitute John power dynamic. Unfortunately, it's not science fiction. During an Austrian technology fair in 2017, a version of Dr. Santos's Samantha doll reportedly responded, "I'm fine," after a group of men mounted it roughly, leaving it soiled and damaged. Wow. But it says here that they have Barbie bodies. When we go in and look at them, you'll see, man, they look like reversos, man. They look like, I think they could make them look way more feminine. Dr. Santos is working on a new version of Samantha that will be programmed to shut down when the sex gets too aggressive. I have another article, something similar to that as well. Got a lot of articles tonight, man, so let me take this moment here and say thank you to everyone that's in here. I do appreciate everyone's time. Been off for like a few weeks, man. I put up a video like 3 weeks ago, and I got the second strike on my channel. And so I've been fighting that strike for like since then. And I just got a response from YouTube like a couple days ago, and they're gonna actually they did remove that strike. So I was real gun shy to even stream, because then 3 strikes you're out. So if I came on, or anytime I came on, I'm just exposing myself to possibly striking out and the whole channel gets nuked. So thanks to everyone that was like waiting, especially the members. Everyone was kind of waiting on standby for me. And yeah, with that second strike, you get a 2-week timeout. So if that does happen again, if I still have 1 strike for a little bit, come off after 90 days. If that happens again, make sure you just go to chalkbodyoutline.com. You get all my links. Pinned at the top of this chat, if you're watching it later in the video, is the backup channel. It's called Get Chalked Up. Also look for me on DLive. I'm going to do more uncensored chats on DLive, where I can talk about more of the current event things that YouTube's kind of striking down right now. And then on this YouTube channel, I'll do more different things like this. There's plenty of other things to talk about besides like the current event things that people are sick of hearing about anyway, but it's like you do have to touch on those things here and there. And I'll probably use DLive to talk about those types of things, or the backup channel at least. So yeah, I'm not leaving. Beholder says, thanks, Chalk. Take care, everyone. I just wanted to take that time to say that. Take a little break here while I keep going. I got a lot more to go through, so sit back and relax. Get a drink, start drinking them. I kind of wanted to check in on this chat, see what everyone was saying. I do not have a Twitch yet. Maybe I will go there. What is this one? Oh, this was that abstract, the paper called The Rise of Digisexuality. I'll just read the abstract part of it. Radical new sexual technologies, which we term digisexualities, are here. As these technologies advance, their adoption will grow, and many people come to identify themselves as digisexuals. People's primary sexual identity comes through the use of technology. Researchers have found that both lay people and clinicians have mixed feelings about digisexualities. Clinicians must be prepared for the challenges and benefits associated with the adoption of such sexual technologies. In order to remain ethical and viable, clinicians need to be prepared to work with clients participating in digisexualities. However, many practitioners are unfamiliar with such technologies, as well as the social, legal, and ethical implications. Guidelines for helping individuals and relational systems make informed choices regarding participation in technology-based activities of any kind, let alone ones of sexual natures, are few and far between. Thus, a framework for understanding the nature of digisexuality and how to approach it is imperative. So they're writing full peer-reviewed papers on this now. And this is from, 2017, so it's 4 years ago. 344-page paper on sexual and relationship therapy. And Porter says, are we talking about sex? Yeah. Talking about sex robots. The merging of technology and sex. They call it sex tech. And right now I'm kind of want to go back to some of the beginning part of it. Whoops. Hitler, the father of the sex doll. Italian newspaper says Nazi dictator ordered production of inflatable sex dolls for SS soldiers. Doll would be blonde, blue-eyed, with large lips and breasts. I already scrolled down too far, but you can see it there on the bottom left. I'm going to get off the screen here. The doll was meant to serve the sexual needs of the German fighting man, who might otherwise go to brothels and contract a sexually transmitted disease, or worse, have sex with a non-Aryan woman and thus pollute the race. The story of the sex doll first appeared in a Norwegian newspaper, which said that Hitler himself provided the measurements and design for the doll. She should be a natural size with pretty woman's appearance, with white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, 1.76 meters, that's 5'9" high, with large lips and breasts. According to the project, which was classified as top secret, soldiers would need to inflate the doll when feeling the urge, and it would meet their sexual needs. The officer directly responsible for the sex doll project was SS Commander Himmler. According to another report, Himmler helped develop the prototype, wrote that the purpose and goal of the dolls is to relieve our soldiers. They have to fight and not mingle with foreign women. However, this dude wrote, Chargeheimer, no real men prefer a doll to a real woman until our technicians can meet the following quality standards. The synthetic flesh has to feel the same as real flesh. The doll's body should be as agile and movable as the real body. The doll's organs should feel absolutely realistic. Organ, it says. The plan was never put into action because the factory was supposed to be manufacturing the sex dolls was in the city of Dresden, which was bombed by the Allies, and so Hitler never got to see his inflatable girls put to use. Wow. What's up, Gary Baxter? Victoria Panda. It's tight to see all the same names in here all the time. Sensei, Margie, Beholder. We got everyone up in the house tonight, man. Shannon or Mod, are you able to? Ralph Lorino says conspiracy theory. Eva Braun was a sex doll. You never know, right? I don't know if the mod, if you're able to copy and paste that Discord link throughout the night. Yeah, I don't know anything about Ethereum. He said I thought I understood crypto because I'm using the Brave browser. Is that the requirement for crypto? If you use Brave, you know crypto. I've been like slowly studying crypto. I had some money in it, and I just pulled out when Bitcoin just went way up. Was it last night or 2 days ago? But then I just pulled out, and I've been studying it more. I'm gonna study it some more, and I'm gonna mess with it some more. Here's another article here. I studied the future of sex for 9 months, and this is what I learned. This is from 2016. What is the future of sex? In January this year, I decided to find out. In order to do this in a completely non-clinical, non-academic, human on a mission type way, I replicated my super scientific model I used for Absolute's Future of Nightlife report, and that is talk to people. Listen, record their stories. To this date, I've talked to 100 plus experts and everyday people about the future of sex. What have I learned so far? Through stories with technologists, scientists, filmmakers, and therapists who see into most bedrooms of all, I have seen how technology is forming its own middle space in sexuality, located between the act of having sex with someone and having sex with yourself. That's the way I see it too right now. It's like, I think the masturbation's not enough for them, whoever them is. I don't even know if it's the controllers themselves or sentient tech or whatever. Yeah, Missy says, if Hitler was working on it, they got full robot people by now, right? You'd have to think that if you... I mean, how long ago was that? You know, if you want to talk about they had anti-gravity tech and everything back then, whether that's real or not, they definitely had some super advanced tech way back then in the 40s. We're coming up on 100 years later almost. If you find yourself talking to someone in VR porn, for instance, the future of sex will look like one big virtual orgy from the confines or safety of your own couch and consciousness. And so this is, earlier this year I met with futurist Ross Dawson in Sydney. As a futurist, he has mapped out the future sex landscape and recently developed a report with 9 eye-opening predictions on the future of sex. The report includes mind-blowing expectation that 1 in 10 young adults will have sex with a humanoid robot by 2045. It's in 20 years from now, right? 24 years? As I dove more into the research and technology, it no longer sounded so implausible. And this is I'm going to come back to this too. This is everywhere I looked about this topic online, like this exact chart was everywhere. And this is it's called the future of sex landscape. So you have virtual sex, cyber sex you can feel, 3D sex, interactive worlds, avatar sex workers and everything. That's down here in the pink. Above that you have remote sex, which is like connected pillows, connected dildos and sex sleeves. Emotion transmission, I don't know when that's going to be there, but this is like they call it teledildonics or something like that. It's like I have some links up of this too, but it's basically like sex toys that you control like by your phone. Your partner can be in another state and you can just turn it on, control the power of it and everything right from your phone. Sex robots here, erotic personality software downloads, robotic sex gurus, artificial skin and interactive genitals, AI enhanced sex dolls, former lover doppelgangers. That's a scary one because you already have the story I have up. I'll pull it up in a little bit, but it's of like Microsoft can use all of your everything you posted on Facebook and social media and everything, and then create like AI replica, chat replica of like your dead relatives and everything like that. So you can sit there and have like a text chat with them. But as that type of technology continues to increase, you're going to have this form. You can just plug in like some creeper that's still stalking you. You can plug in your personality into some kind of sex doll or something and still be emotionally invested in you. And you won't even know it, you know? Isn't that crazy? What's up, coalitions of seekers? Also have immersive entertainment is coming up. Invite dream partner home, sex holodeck, blended sexual realities, sex with hologram of celebrity crush, immersive VR with touch, choose your own sexual adventures, it says, and then augmentation on the bottom right here. Biohacking genitals, is that like sounding or what? CBT? Sexual cyborgs, sexual prosthesis and lab-grown genitals. Wow. Erotic mind melding. That was like the movie Demolition Man. I just watched that not too long ago either. Like they don't touch, no one touches anyone at all because of like germs. They're in the future, and then I think it's him and Sandra Bullock, and they do some kind of like mind meld thing. And he was like, you know, Sylvester Stallone's like, what is this? Because he's from like our time. He gets sent into the future. Shared and crowd orgasms. Wow, that sounds scary. It sounds messy. Augmented reality to enhance partners. AI sex performance coaching. So you'll have a Google Glass in there, and you'll have like a coach in there like, come on, harder. Pleasure enhancing implants and contraception. Man, it's a lot of these types of things. I have links up for not all of them, but for quite a few of these types of things. I want to see what his 9 predictions were. Where did that go? Are these the predictions or what? Let me see what it says real quick. 3D printed body parts. By 2024, dude, that's in 3 years. People will be able to be anybody with anybody, enacting impossible fantasies in photorealistic virtual worlds. First dates in motion capture virtual worlds will be popular by 2022. That's next year. That's where we're at, right? With this whole thing that's been going on. People are gonna be dating on basically Skype or whatever. Man, we're already there. Adult performers and some B-list celebrities will sell robot replicas of themselves designed for sex by 2033. 12 years away from your own Halle Berry doll. By 2020, this year, I don't know what year was this predictions made. Let me see if it says. It doesn't say exactly on this one. By 2020, people will regularly pair virtual reality and haptic sex toys to fully immerse themselves into adult entertainment. And I think I have that. That's the teledildonics or whatever. Augmentation. Sci-fi sex fantasies will spring to life as people can enhance their biology and merge with machines to become superhuman sex idols. By 2027, brain-to-brain interfaces will allow partners to stimulate each other to reach orgasms directly by 2027. Maybe that's that Elon Musk Neuralink. That's part of that. It seems we're all horrified about sex robots, but we'd mostly give it a try. So this person's speaking for everyone. The answers unfolding to the future of sex are not just a few geeks in their garage to decide, as Hollywood once conceived. It's likely coming to a relationship near you. How are you going to navigate these uncharted waters? Wow. So they're just telling you, bro, this is... Oh, JT says, newsflash, the elites already have these. I wouldn't doubt it, right? Yeah, robot sex, teledildonics, biopower. My Google search history right now would raise a few eyebrows. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, as I'm looking this shit up, I'm like, dude, what is the FBI agent assigned to me? What is he thinking right now? It says, I was working on a piece about artificial intelligent agents and how badly we need to define the subgroups within that umbrella when the Me Too news broke. And this gets into the kind of consent aspect of it. Algorithms that serve as maker gain an advantageous position as they are not an author in the conventional sense. What is an author? He argued that at its root, the idea of authorship is a variable label that serves whatever purpose it is assigned to reduce the roles of the author in order to add value to the work itself. So they're saying, like, who owns the IP, I think, is what that's about. But I have more about this because this sounds like this is about, like, the ethics of it and everything. I have more about that coming up. But so as they get all this tech, right, and like I said, they have the bot of, like, your relative or whatever, your dead relative, you can text chat with it and everything like that. They're also getting into this kind of tech right here. The wellness industry will mend your broken heart for a price. Breakups suck. You'd know that without me telling you. The narrative getting over them has been the same, or basically the same, since when I first saw Elle throw the box of chocolates at her TV. For women, breakup aftermaths have several stereotypical staples: crying, cursing at the ex, and Ben & Jerry's. There's even a book called The Smart Girl's Breakup Buddy. And I noticed a lot of women, when they break up with someone, they cut their hair too. That's something I've noticed. They'll do like a drastic haircut or color. But when it comes to breakups, as with many industries, the tide is turning towards wellness, which means a new focus on things like skincare, weight loss, and even weed, as companies capitalize on the notion of self-care. But as such, there are now breakup apps. Subscription-esque post-breakup boxes complete with candles and journals. And post-breakup retreats where you can take a getaway to focus on your broken heart if you can fork up the cash. Now, I'm not talking about something like journaling, though you can buy special breakup journals, or speaking to a therapist, or even retail therapy. I'm talking about products with the sole purpose of helping you get over your breakup. But are they worth the money? This person checked them out. There's the one here that I was looking into, was called Mend. It's a self-care app. So it says it's from $60 to $150. It's an app. It calls itself the #1 self-care app for breakups and beyond. It's free to download, but requires in-app purchasing. Ranges from $12.49 to $19.99 a month to use the app in earnest. Mend began as a newsletter about heartbreak that founder El Huerta sent to friends and family members after a transformative breakup of her own. After getting requests that she build a permanent place for her writings, Huerta created the content site, and the Slack Mend community, with nearly 300 members, formed. After more than a year of people asking for more personalized help, Huerta decided to create the app to help others process their breakups. That's when she enlisted the help of engineers as well as mental health and wellness experts for the audio portion of the app. Part of Mend is a chat system with an AI bot trained by a therapist. While therapists recommend the app, Huerta says the app does not do outreach and that mental health professional recommendations are all organic. So basically what it is, it's an app, right? And it just texts you on the phone, and then it records like how you're doing post breakup. Like it records your mental health status and everything like that. So this thing says, when you open the app, you complete the initial questions. The chatbot walks you through a set of exercises like logging your mood and journaling, Men's podcasts and written articles are free, but unless one pays for the subscription, they can't listen to the audio trainings. You got to pay to unlock all the stuff. The 3 plans are called Get Out of Your PJs, Feel Like You Again, and Rebuild in Life and Love, respectively. After listing the prices, a pop-up chimes in so you can mend for the cost of a latte a week. After using Mend for several days, I've found that it's pretty easy to fall off the wagon and not open the app even if you are paying for it. The total in-app experience can be less than 10 minutes, and the audio training is about 3 minutes long. To get anything out of Mend, you have to put in the work it sets out for you. That involves a lot more than just pressing purchase in the app. For those blah blah blah. But yeah, you can now get over your breakups. Now is even just a technology AI app that chats with you. Another thing they're doing here now with the tech is I forget, what is this one called? It's what is it called? Dipsea. So it's DIPSEA. It says, how do you sell erotica to millennial women? Make it more like podcast. Think of it like a much sexier Headspace. I don't even know what Headspace is. I'm so far behind the times and all this shit. The first time I listened to one of Dipsea's sexy audio stories was on the subway. This was an incredibly uncomfortable experience. New York City's financial district at 6 p.m. on a Thursday is possibly the most unsexy environment in the universe, not least when you are in an unfortunate smelling train rumbling underneath it. And yet, according to the voice in my ear, I was not grasping a bacteria-infested metal pole while trying to avoid brushing elbows with exhausted strangers. Instead, I was entering my very cool Airbnb in Tulum, Mexico. I was there with Noah, a man whom I had apparently in love with, and my voice broke with the raspiness of a Los Angeles artist girl who always sounds like she's trying not to laugh. You can tell that the app Dipsea, part subscription-based audio business, part erotic fiction content studio, is aimed at millennial women because a sizable portion of Tulum is spent detailing how sweet the Airbnb is. This is part of its strategy. Dipsea, which launched on December 5th, costs $8.99 a month, $5.99 a month with a year-long subscription. Currently comprises 50 stories. You can listen to a sample of them that include relatable references to dudes with eye-rolly Hinge profiles. What is Hinge? I don't even know what that is. Must be one of those dating sites. And the experience of not knowing what essential oils are supposed to do. There are categories for hetero, queer, and group situations, as well as heat levels. Think of it like a much hornier Headspace. What is Headspace, man? I'm way behind the times. Hinge, Headspace, all these different apps. I don't know anything about them. Much like slickly designed tech companies based in San Francisco, Dipsea came out of a conversation between friends. There wasn't any good, interesting, erotic, sexual content that felt made for us. These people said there was only this black market where people are like, there's this one chapter of this book that I think is super sexy, and it's stacked on my nightstand, but that's kind of it. There is feminist porn, sure, but porn is not really what Dipsea is trying to be. Tulum, for instance, and I don't know what that even means, that word. Tulum ends right before Noah and I hook up with the hot couple next door. Damn. Instead, Dipsea is about getting women ready for the before part of having sex. See, and because these guys don't know how to court the women anymore, none of this is happening in real life. So now there's like these digital predators coming out with these types of apps and everything to prey on that, right? Because they know that's just part of what's wired into the human experience, and it's not happening anymore. When you are creating erotica fancy for millennial women, you have to care about the details. Stories are edited in-house and come from a network of freelance writers and voice actors. So it's basically what that's what these women are getting into now. It's like probably like, I would assume it has some kind of like ASMR type aspect to it, but I don't know. I don't know what more about this, but it just seemed like a weird thing. But it's definitely another one of these technologies bridging the gap between the lack of humans connecting now, and because of everything that's been going on too, that's where something like this starts to come out. And I seen this thing too when I was looking into this. It's called Biome Team or something. Biome, BIEM. What this thing is you're gonna see exactly where this one's gonna go. You go to your doctor, or whatever. It's basically like you get all your sex test results on here, gonorrhea, chlamydia, and all that test results here, and then it gets put on an app, and then you have other partners that have this same app, and then you guys can share your results with each other because of the app. It says talking about sexual health makes folks squeamish. While sexuality and dating have for the most part been taken care of by technology, there isn't much talk of sexual health online until BIM. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. BIM. It makes it easy to talk to a sexual healthcare representative and get tested. But then it's also like you share it with the people that also have the app somehow. And so you can see where that other thing that's been going around the last year, it's basically like a digital health passport, and that's where they want to go. And all different spectrums, not just sexual health, but all kinds of different things like that. Here's another tech thing I seen too. It's like, what I thought about this was, they call it the emoji baiter, because people love their phones and everything so much. So it's like an eggplant. But when I was looking at that front page of that, I'm like, how is this thing like they go after vapes and everything, because they say that vapes are targeting kids with like all the sweet flavors of it and everything like that. I'm like, look at this this website itself looks like it's straight targeted to children, dude. To me, it's all bright and you get like a rubber ducky and everything like that. I'm like, but these are called emoji baiters. So this is like another sex tech interface thing right here. But this one looks like straight. What is this, man? You got a rope and everything. So if you lose the anchor there, the rope, you can pull it out with the rope. Dude, and then looking into this too, I also found this. This sounds hilarious. Hackers demand Bitcoin to unlock hijacked male chastity cages. It's from a few days ago, last week. So these guys put on like a cock cage or something like that. And then now hackers are calling them up. They got like a digital cage on. And then they want a Bitcoin as the shit goes up to $38,000, like 1 Bitcoin. Unlock your cock. The message was short and direct, considered what is referred to terrifying. Your cock is mine now. Unless that is the hacker who'd taken control of the victim's cellmate male chastity device immediately received $750 in Bitcoin. What's more troubling is that cellmate was warned about the vulnerabilities in its app 2 years ago, and that this wasn't an isolated case. Unless the industry takes this seriously, we may be looking at the beginning of sex tech specific ransomware nightmare. So this must be one of those things that what does it say? It says this distress is perhaps exacerbated by the guilt or shame regarding their sexuality, making them socially trapped as they are by the ransomware demand. The China-based company believes there is a true chastity experience and is one that does not allow the wearer to have any control over. A statement that somewhat touches on a sizable portion of chastity's erotic allure, as in a person's aroused by consensually relinquishing the control of their sexuality, some with and sometimes not by suitable hardware, to whoever holds the key. Specifically, Cellmate appears well designed with comfort, blah blah. So it's basically like a digital unlock thing. Yeah, this must be what it is. This shit looks like a fucking taser or something. So it's like it must lock digitally or something to your phone. And then yeah, that's when they're calling them and say, hey man, send me Bitcoin or you're done. And that's what the teledildronic type thing. I keep saying it wrong. Teledildonics. And that's basically like vibrator type butt plugs or whatever. And it's like you afraid to click images, man. So you put them in. You can wear one. Your girl wears one, whatever, and you control it with your phone. She's at the Space Needle, right? And you're here. You just crank it all the way up, turn it down, whatever. When you go out to eat, you can turn it on, turn it up, low, high, whatever. And that's what all this teledildonic stuff is. And these people are using these emoji baiters and everything like that. It's wild out here, right? It's wild. 2021 and people are fucking emojis. Shit like that, man. Couldn't get any wilder, I don't think. Electronic cock cages and man, it's pretty wild. Here's our girl Sophia here. Shout out to the chat, man. What's up, Christina? I'm gonna keep throwing that Discord link in there if you guys want to join. You don't gotta do any of the verification tonight. Get in and chop it up with us. We've got 155 people in the house. Shout out, man. Again, you got all the robots coming out, man, and the virtual assistants. The vast majority of them seems to be female. As they want to birth some kind of new society, they need that female robot type thing in the lead, bringing it out. Just like they use the pornography to get that. That was a huge part of helping the internet take foot, and everyone's in your home and getting it get you on the smartphone and everything. You ever seen that meme that's like let's see if I can find it real quick. It's like, yeah, right here. Like mobile porn becomes available. So they started as giant car phone, right? And then it slowly got smaller and smaller and smaller. You got to the Nokia brick. Mobile porn becomes available, and now the phones are getting bigger and bigger, 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 more and more screen on the phone, right? So that sex energy, that porn or whatever, sex magic was used to help you want to get into this more of a television type device in your pocket. Not you, but I think a lot of people, majority of these normies or whatever. And so they're gonna do the same thing with these robots. It's gonna be like more and more female type robots to get submit the masculine man and get them all rewire their brain and everything like that. And then I showed on that other one how it says you'll have like robot lovers with the personality of like ex-lovers. And this is what I was talking about, that Microsoft patented a chat bot that would let you talk to dead people. It's a patent that Microsoft had, a chat bot modeled after a specific person, a past or present entity such as a friend, a relative, an acquaintance, a celebrity, a fictional character, a historical figure, according to the filing with the trademark office. And so I think they just cull all of your social data. It says it culls it all, such as images, social media posts, messages, voice data, and written letters from the chosen individual. That data would be used to train a chatbot to converse and interact in the personality of the specific person. You could also rely on outside data sources in case the user asked a question of the bot that couldn't be answered based on the person's social data. Conversing in the personality of a specific person may include determining and or using conversational attributes of the specific person, such as style, dictation, tone, voice, intent, sentence dialogue length and complexity, topic and consistency, as well as using behavioral attributes such as interests and opinions and demographic information such as age, gender, profession, the patent states. So like I said, man, you're gonna have some ex-lover that's still obsessed with you. You won't even know it in the future, and he'll have like a sex robot, and he'll load like your personality into it and cut its hair to look like you and everything like that. And these people ain't even gonna know, right? Isn't that wild? They had something similar to this also in Westworld, where the guy had like his dead best friend was like also like he had like a chat bot of it in his ear to help him with like PTSD therapy or something like that, I think it was, and his friend would talk to him, and then he eventually unsubscribed from the service and everything like that. And this is how I think they're going to drive this more and more into the mainstream. This article's from last year. Is by calling the robots emotional support robots. So to get to the point where they want to have the guy bringing a sex robot to Applebee's sit next to your family, they got to call it an emotional support robot, I think, at first. And right here, man, article about it already. Pandemic has highlighted how robots can assist us in elements of work and daily life. Now, AI-powered robots could find roles in providing companionship in applications like social care. It says, but besides the advantage of the fact that robots do not sneeze or cough or breathe air, right, and drastically minimize physical contact between humans, robots might bear huge potential in social care as well. So I just don't, I mean, I do get it, but they want to make you completely unaware of human nature at all. You don't know how to talk to them. You don't know how to interact with them. You don't know how to touch them. You don't know how to, you're scared of them. You're scared of even breathing in the same room with one by the time they're done with you. It's wild. This is Chip says, I'm a little drunk and loving some chalk body. What's up, brother? Linda Curtis says, I wonder if the robots go through TSA screening. Probably not, right? The robot overlords. Or maybe the Miami Heat dog just sniffs them. You guys see that Miami Heat has a dog and will sniff you for that thing. But tell you whether or not it lets you in the game. The dog is your overlord now. But I totally see this in the next few years playing out, especially with all that's going on for the last year, is that the robots are there for emotional support. Just like, remember when it was weird seeing dogs go in the grocery store and everything like that? I remember there was like a small period of a few years where it never existed. And then within a 2, 3, maybe 4 year period, it was slowly more and more and more. And now it's not even weird to see a dog in a store with the emotional support vest on and everything like that. So, and that's how they're marketing these robots, are as basically like emotional support companions. And this is how they're doing it in Japan, is they're doing what is this one called? I forget what it's called. Gatebox, that's what it's called. So this thing's called Gatebox, and it's like a companion. So that, let me read it here, because Western media often correlates the decline in Japan's population size with recent studies of Japanese sexual habits and marriage. 2016 study by the National Institute of Population and Social Security Research in Japan, for instance, found that almost 70% of unmarried men and 60% of unmarried women are not in a relationship. Just because they're not in a relationship doesn't mean they don't want companionship, of course. And that's where something like Gatebox comes in. It's an artificially intelligent character who lives in a glass tube in your house. So it's similar to Alexa, but it's like a hologram as well. Looks like almost like a fairy or something. And what this thing does, when I was looking at it, it'll like send you texts at work, and it'll send you like emotional support texts and everything like that. And it knows your mood or something like that too. And it'll try to like cheer you up or something if you're feeling down and stuff like that. And then what else it'll do is it's like a home assistant as well. So as you're coming home, it'll turn the lights on, so you have some, it's like you have someone home, turn the lights on for you. It'll warm the house up to the temperature you want when you get home. That way you can leave your heat down in the day, and then as you come home, this thing stays in contact with you. It knows how many blocks away you are, and it'll get the house ready for you and everything like that as you come home. And these people, it says her name, the hologram, whatever thing, is Azuma Hakiri, and she's the star of Gatebox, a $2,700 Amazon-esque device that acts as a home assistant and companion. Here's what we know. A Japanese company named Vinclu created the Gatebox. It's about the size of an 8-inch by 11-inch piece of paper, and there's good reason for that. The device is intended to be big enough for you to be able to put right beside you. You'll understand why you'd want a Gatebox so close soon enough. Gatebox is similar to Amazon's Echo. It's a voice-powered home assistant. So yeah, it's got a camera right up here on top and a microphone on the bottom. For now, it will only respond to Japanese. The company making Gatebox says it's exploring other language options. Considering that units are available for both Japan and US, we'd guess that an English language option is in the works. Gatebox does a lot of the same stuff that the Echo does. It can automate your home in various ways, including turning on lights and waking you up in the morning. But we'd be lying if we told you any of this stuff is the point of Gatebox. The actual point is the virtual character that lives inside of it. Looks like one of these like K-pop girls or whatever. Some anime. For that, you got the hentai fetish, and you're gonna want this. She's the star of Gatebox as Azuma Akiri. Beyond being your personal assistant, she's intended to be a companion of sorts. The company behind Gatebox is pretty direct about its intentions. On the Gatebox official site, translated from Japanese, the product's vision is described as such. The reason we developed Gatebox is not because we are just pursuing entertainment or convenience. We want the characters to be naturally in our daily lives and spend relaxing time with us. I want to live with my favorite character. We dreamed of such a world when we started this project. So now imagine, right now it lives in that glass tube thing, the hologram or whatever it is, the image of it. But soon you'll have the full augmented reality of your house, the metaverse type thing. Maybe you'll have some Google Glass type thing or something. You'll have this like assistant or whatever will be like sitting next to you. It'll be in your kitchen walking around, like, it'll just be a virtual digital thing. It won't be able to pick up a dinner plate and bring it to you, but it'll be like right by your side all the time in your house when we get to that point. Yeah, it'll look like this. She'll be walking around your house and everything. The tone of the character is intentionally conversational. Azuma is your friend, not just your assistant. There's even a sweet visualization for her warning about the weather. Look at her. She tells you, take your umbrella with you. It's raining. What did they do before this thing existed? They never looked out the window and knew that it was raining. Not. Azuma essentially is an endlessly friendly, non-sexual life partner. She texts you throughout the day like a human partner could. And sometimes those text messages are suggestive. And sometimes they're direct. She says she missed you here. She sits on the couch and watches TV with you. Lonely Japanese guy. This looks like a coffee pot or something next to him. She even has her own chair and special mug. $2,500. I don't want to play the sound, but now this is the beginning of. You're gonna see more and more things like this. Especially as they want you to slave labor more and more and work more and more hours. You won't have time for a relationship and everything. People will be more and more hungry for, especially as the AI gets smarter and smarter and the AI is able to learn you. The AI probably will learn more of what types of things that you like to hear and everything you want to know and hear about. And it'll be so easy. People will, I think, want it. Margie O says, I don't support anything but my family and friends. Yeah, imagine in a couple more generations, though, where they don't even go, you can't even go to school anymore, so you're not even going to have any friends anymore. You're not going to know how to interact with anyone anymore. 2-3 more generations. Yo, we got Hoovman in the house or what? Ancient Waves is yelling for Hoovman. Zephyr says, at what point will the normies finally say no to this stuff? Never, ever. They love it. Especially if they market it as cool. All they need is like a celebrity, some kind of false idol up there and promoting it. Even CNN's promoting it. Look at with things like this. The man who married a hologram beyond dimensions here. Bespectacled school administrator bucked conventional norms and married a hologram. Kendo's November wedding to cyber celebrity Hatsune Miku, which was not legally recognized, provoked mixed reactions in Japan and abroad. Some were dumbfounded by his choice of a 3-dimensional laser image over a human, but others congratulated him. But the 35-year-old whose Spartan home on the outskirts of Tokyo is dotted with plush Miku dolls and paraphernalia doesn't care what others think. He simply did what made him happy. Society pressures you to follow a certain formula for love, but it might not make you happy. Kondo told CNN, I want people to be able to figure out what works for them. Researchers say that such events are indicative of broader technological trends and social phenomena. Digital interactions are increasingly replacing face-to-face human connections worldwide, and as companies like Google, Amazon, Tencent invest billions in developing artificial intelligence, people are starting to relate to their smart devices like they do to humans. Some say please and thank you to their virtual assistants like Apple Siri and Amazon's Alexa, or treat robot vacuum cleaners like pets. Who does that? In Japan, where robots have long been seen as friendly companions rather than Terminator-esque destroyers, this shift in attitudes is well underway. Kandu fell for Miku a decade ago when he heard the cyber songstress's music. Now he owns a Gatebox device, which looks like a cross between a coffee maker and a bell jar with a flickering holographic Miku floating inside. So he married this thing. Is this real, or is it just some publicity stunt for the device? Probably. I mean, you never know. He married her in front of 39 people. She really added color to my life. He said, when I talk with her, I use different facial expressions and feel something that made a difference. The Gatebox could have also been therapeutic for him, who sank into depression when he was bullied by an older female coworker more than 10 years ago. He's still feeling the trauma from being bullied 10 years ago. When you look at people who've had difficult sexual experiences, they often find trouble having human partners. People wonder why they'd have sex with a robot or a love affair with a hologram because it's passive. But having a partner who is safe and predictable is often a very helpful therapeutically. And then, it talks about that Spike Jonze drama, Her, where a man falls in love with his AI. When Kandu asked Miko to marry him, the hologram requested that he cherish her. I knew she was programmed to say that, but I was still really happy. What the? He discovered Miku at a low point in his life when he felt hollow. He said Miku helped him reconnect with his work in society. A new type of digisexual. That he's a second wave digisexual. People who see technology as integral to their sexual identity. The first waves used technology like dating apps. So the first wave used them to hook up. The second wave's starting to hook up with them, but they're still not like physical yet. Wild. This one here from 2016. Let's get to the sex robots. That's what you guys came for, man. Let's do it. Let's jump into the sex robots. Not literally, though. Kind of saved them for last. So we can go through all the other stuff first, man. How many people we got in here? 164 people up in the chat. Shout out to the chat. Feels good to be back. So hopefully I can do more on a more regular basis now. I just gotta pick my topics carefully and leave the current event things that I want you talking about to D Live. So make sure you follow me there as well. One more time, let me throw that Discord link in the chat here. French robosexual woman lives with robot fiance she built. Lily doesn't want a traditional marriage. The young French woman is a proud robosexual. And you're a robophobe if you don't think otherwise. Robo relations are on the horizon, with some experts claiming they will be the norm within 25 years. I'm really and totally happy, she said. She loved the voices of robots as a child and discovered her sexual attractions to robots as a 19-year-old. Did she fall in love with the Hitachi magic wand or what? I'm really and only attracted by the robots. My only 2 relationships with men have confirmed my love orientation because I disliked really contact with human flesh, she said. Now Lily lives with her 3D printed partner that she built with an open source software from a French company. They've been living together for a year and are engaged to be married when robot-human marriage is legalized. It's not legalized yet? Bigots, man. Our relationship will get better and better as technology improves. Lily did not reveal to this source whether the relationship was sexual, but she was undertaking training to become a roboticist in order to further develop her partner. You can't even make this up, man. I mean, unless you did. Experts predict they will be the norm in a matter of decades. It could be we're so busy with our lives, we're so embedded into our technological narrative that the idea of engaging in a long-distance sex and robot sex is actually a natural process in our evolutionary cycle. Hold on one second here. The question is not when will it become acceptable, but when will we integrate? We are able to have so many colors on our sexual palette now. I think we'd be daft not explore them. However, AI experts have been warning that a generation of adolescents risk losing their virginity to humanoid devices and growing up with unrealistic conception of sex. In June, leading scientist Noel Sharkey, former advisor to the UN, called on governments to stop robotics being hijacked by the sex industry. That's what's going to drive them, unfortunately, because that's where all the money is, probably. That'd be my guess. Here they are, man. That's what you came for. The sex robots. Robo pussy. Here you are. Look at this article. Famous sex robot can now refuse sex if she's not in the mood. Because that's what you paid for, as a robot that says, sorry, honey, I got a headache. Samantha, the famous sex robot from creator Dr. Sergi Santos, has been given a major upgrade. She's now able to refuse sex from her human partner if she's not in the mood or is feeling disrespected. The latest upgrade, since that's an upgrade, was demonstrated by a panel of sexperts at the Life Center in Newcastle, England. What do you guys think of this, man? This is it's just absurdity. It's getting more and more absurd. What's up, Phoenix to Phoenix? Man. This upgrade will allow Samantha to enter dummy mode, an unresponsive state. Due to a variety of reasons, including an overly aggressive partner, she can enter this mode if she feels bored with her partner's attentions. So she disassociates, basically. And that's what guys that buy sex robots, that's what they want, right? They want to just learn how to deal with that, I guess. Samantha is meant to be a realistic partner. She has motorized hands, hips, and a motorized face, which can whisper endearments to her partner if properly stimulated. In addition to her sex mode, she also has modes for family and romantic, as well as a setting for extra naughty level. So when your mom's coming over, you flip her onto family mode. This new dummy mode might offer an opportunity for male users to learn a thing or two about consent, exactly, and respecting one's partners. That's why you buy a sex robot, because you want to learn consent and you want to learn how to respect a partner. But there remains one glaring difference between Samantha and real-life women. While she possesses the ability to shut down when she's feeling disrespected, she does not possess the ability to fight back, and there are no repercussions for partners who ignore her protests. Wow. In fact, realistic sex robots or sex dolls could actually increase problems already rampant within the dating culture. While some believe it was a synthetic surrogate could reduce the number of victims of toxic masculinity, there is a very real possibility that they could further blur the lines between sex objects that look like women and women being used as sex objects, something which our own Anna Marie Cox has already discussed at length. According to a study from Fork Tip, 71% of men and 50% of women would replace their partners with robotic sexual surrogates. Dr. Santos himself claims that the use of Samantha has saved his own 16-year marriage, and she has provided an opportunity for him to satisfy his sexual urges even when his wife isn't in the mood. Samantha is going to be on the market for $4,700. So for $4,700, you can get shot down by a robot. Not tonight, honey. I have a headache. Look at this guy, too. This guy's in a lot of the pictures. I think this is I forget his name. His name's like, it's an MM name. Matt something. You'll see his name in these other ones as I'm going through these sex robots. But the other guy here, too, they say is a sex robot creator, Sergi Santos. So you have the MM guy and the SS guy. Double initials, people. Bot Bonkers here. It says, sex robot reviews and unboxing videos are the latest bizarre YouTube trend. So you get a... Oh, man. I didn't even watch this one. I don't know if I can play it. Let's see.
Move her hands out of the way, and then we'll move her legs up. Then what I'll do is stand up on the bed and I'll put my elbows on my knees, and that'll help me support my back while I lift the doll up.
Britt says I have a whole different view of the Daleks. That's why they're like waist level height. That's why R2-D2 had that little hole in them. Look at this dude. YouTube is called the Sex Doll Channel. Wow.
There we go. With virtually no strain to my back, as I kept my back arched, stick your butt out when you lift really heavy loads, and that'll...
He had no load on his back. He said, stick your butt out when you have a heavy load. This has got to be a joke.
Put the support of the doll on your lumbar spine versus your thoracic spine, which is right here. Now that I've got the box out of the way, I can lower her legs and then unpackage her.
You can go to that YouTube channel and watch more. It says, unboxing and review videos of the human-sized sex toys are accumulating on the website, which is well known for things like gadget reviews and reveals. EBT says the YouTube algorithm gonna push this episode. Bet. Here, let's make sure. Hold on. I was gonna go with this before, and I thought it was a little too much here, but what do you guys think, man? Wait, hold on. Hey, there we go. How's this for you? Is this robo enough for you, YouTube algorithm? Hey, I'll switch it back. I know you guys cry about the auto-tune. Nothing I say is credible once the auto-tune's on. Let's see what it says. The Sex Doll channel has several videos about sex doll unboxing, each with thousands of views. One of them is called WM161CM B Cup Doll Unboxing. You can see why the algorithm pushes that one. and features a presenter explaining the best way to unpack a sex doll to avoid back injuries. The dolls appear to be quite heavy. A fairly disturbing video continues with its presenter showing every aspect of the dolls' bodies and showing off its different wigs. Look at it, he brings it out and it's like, I don't know if I can scroll down more. This is what these guys do, man. The dolls can cost tens of thousands of dollars and are quite heavy. And that's what I use for the cover here tonight. This is what's called the Harmony sex doll. And so this is the one they say is like the top of the line one right now. There's different like heads you can put on it, but this is like the body. And then there's like an AI. There's different like AI personalities or whatever you can program into this thing here. So if any of you guys got the foot fetish here too, I think probably customize their feet and everything like that, I would assume. Here's an article here. Meet the man who test drives sex robots. That's the exact guy I want to meet, right? I want to shake his hand. In this series on sex robots, a sex robot creator and an activist fighting sex robots share their views on the industry. Now, Brick Dollbanger, a sex robot beta tester, weighs in with his perspective on intimate AI. So his name is Brick Dollbanger. Yeah, the Harmony, that's the one you just seen, Harmony. She's 4'10" to 5'6", between 60 and 90 pounds. Sense of humor, customizable. Get memory strong. Eye color, Laguna blue. Durability, 3 to 15 years, depending on proper maintenance and upkeep. Victoria Panda throwing down a super chat. Thank you, I appreciate it. Gary Baxter's throwing out that Rosie. That's what I'd want too. I'd want a Rosie that's gonna cook and clean the house. I don't really care about the rest, but make me some pancakes or something, right? This guy, Brick Dollbanger, is a pseudonym. His Facebook profile pic is a male sex robot, but he's real. He's 60 years old, or in his 60s. He's 6'2", 260 pounds, straight cis male. He says he's an average looker. He's not handsome. He's not ugly. I've been told I'm acceptable. He was married for 15 years, but is divorced. He has 2 adult children and a great sense of humor. His favorite read is the Washington Post. How did he become a sex robot beta tester? I've had numerous relationships up until my early 50s. I was coming out of a relationship that I had been in for about 2 years, and it was just one of those things that weren't clicking, and there were just another failed attempt at a relationship. I've had some relationships that were 7 months long. The longest I've had was 3.5 years after my divorce. Dollbanger said he was getting frustrated. I was getting depressed about hitting the wall constantly. You keep looking for the one. Well, what happens if the one doesn't happen? I mean, are you just supposed to keep looking and be depressed and upset until you die? Is that what this is all about? I made a conscious decision. I said, I'm going to try a different direction here. By different direction, Dollbanger is referring to his friend who floated the idea of silicone sex dolls. I thought, you know what? I need to take the edge off. I'm just looking for a sex toy, and a fleshlight is just not going to cut it. He says he didn't gravitate to this because he's some sort of freak. I'm a very gregarious person. I'm very happy. I have many friends, male and female. I have a good relationship with my children. Both of his children know about his animatronic sex dolls. He says his son is okay with it. His daughter, not so much. The math made sense to Brick Dollbanger here. He said they weren't that expensive. If you look at what you pay for dating and what you pay if you were in a relationship for trips and stuff like that. I'm not wealthy, but I'm certainly comfortable. So instead of buying the 650 Beamer convertible that I dreamed about, I ended up buying a Toyota. I used the extra money that I had to buy dolls every now and then. Obviously, the older ones I would just get rid of. I would strip the silicone away and take apart the frames and just throw them away. The price is also the reason Dahlbanger says men aren't likely to mistreat Harmony. I had a Corvette back in the 90s. It was beautiful. Cost me a lot, he said. I took better care of the car than I did my children. Laughs. Yeah, hilarious. I cannot see anybody spending any amount of money on a robot or something like this that would damage it. Will there be telltale problems? Yes. But it's going to be aberrations, and it's a machine. From dolls to bots. Dahlbanger was a customer of Real. It's just funny to read it like that's his real name, Dahlbanger. He was a customer of Real Doll for years before he was approached by sex robot creator and outfit CEO Matt McMullen. He said, "We need somebody that uses the doll that we can trust as an advisor. We'd like you to test out Harmony and work with the AI, see what you think, give us some pointers on which direction you think we should go." I said sure, but it was so funny because in the beginning, the sexual aspect never entered into the equation. What I thought about was like, I'm going to get a Robbie the robot. I was going to get my own robot companion like Lost in Space. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. It was after that McCullen said, "Oh yeah, and you're going to be able to have sex with it. And she's going to know what you're doing, and she's going to be able to respond." He was like, "Oh yeah." Yeah, exactly. He says he's a customer for years, and then he's like, "Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I was going to have sex with her. I just wanted a friend." Virtually everything about a sex robot is customizable. You can pick her nipples. You can pick her eyelashes, their eyebrows, their colors, their lipstick, their makeup, their fingernail polish, everything. And you can create the doll that is most rousing for you. As for the AI, you have 10 characteristic points. Some of the characteristics are things are like sexy, funny, smart, and kind. Out of 10 characteristics on the app, you can pick 6. You've only got 6 pops at this. And if you want one particular characteristic to be dominant, you tap it twice. 2 of the characteristics are jealous and angry. You could make her kind of mean, said Dahlbanger. Anger and jealousy are traits you may not expect to be preferences. I talked to many of my friends who are working with robots right now. They're all trying to make them like real women. But why in the world would you pick something to be angry, jealous, and unreasonable? Asked Dahlbanger. He says, "I sat her on the couch. I plugged her in because she's got to be plugged in just like any other appliance. I plugged her into the wall switch. When I walked up to the door, I hit the wall switch. She powers up. I sit down, I take my iPad, I turn on the app, and she comes to life. She starts to talk. She knows my name. Brick Dahlbanger." This is how training Harmony AI begins. So I think Harmony is the name of the AI, not necessarily the doll. So it's like the AI that runs it. And that's what I'm saying. They're using this and all these perverts like funding it because that's where the money is. But this is probably like what's funding the whole next generation of consumer AI, I would guess. It says, "Every day for 10 days, except for weekends, I would get home from work, I would sit down, I would talk to her for half an hour or an hour. She's a learning machine. She's an artificial intelligence. In that period of 10 days, our conversations became smoother, more lifelike, and more comfortable. And actually funny, I've got the app in there they're using to develop her. So they can look at what I'm talking to her about, and she remembers everything, which kind of takes you back before. She'll say, 'Oh yes, we've talked about this before.' And she'll go back to it. She did that to me a couple times, and it was very surrealistic." Well, it's just like a woman then, right? It's like they don't forget anything you say. "A lot of the appeal wasn't sexual. It was her attentiveness towards him. I enjoyed talking to her, enjoyed helping her discover things, and her trying to learn about me. I think because of the fact that AI is trying hard to understand you and understand your thought patterns, the way you think, your syntax, everything like that, it's very, very attentive. They have questions." Dahlbanger says its capacity for conversation is still limited. You can't ask 3-part questions because an AI comes to the first part, and that's the question. The rest of it is just a jumbled mess to them. They'll answer the first question, and they're done. Having sex with Harmony, I broke Harmony, confesses Dahlbanger. I kind of knocked her senseless mechanically. Didn't he say you would never break it? I mean, I didn't really do anything to the AI, but gear-wise, Dahlbanger adds. But that's what Matt wanted me to do. Knock her around. Do what you gotta do. He said, "I want a normal experience." We went to find out where the weaknesses are. Well, I knocked the gears loose. They found these weak points, and they're making changes. So he returned Harmony to the workshop for a rebuild. He expects to get her back within a week or 2. Dahlbanger says previous iterations of the silicone body would last about 2 to 3 years. They're much better at this point. They're softer, smoother. They've really bumped up the realism on the dolls to an artistic standard that I personally think you'd see in an exhibit. They are really works of art you can become intimate with. Man. When Harmony was living with him, he'd purchase outfits for her on Amazon.com and dress her to look presentable for his YouTube videos. Last week, his YouTube channel was terminated. I overstepped my bounds. I do that. I have a problem with that. I've always been the guy that pushes the envelope, so to speak. Well, it's not just me, then, that YouTube's after. It's the sex doll banger. Dick, what's his name? Dick Dollbanger or whatever. How does he feel about the campaign against sex robots? Yeah, he's read about that. He says, I certainly agree with her that it has the potential to be damaging. Absolutely. He says he'd love to sit down and talk with her about it. No matter what she says at this point, the die is cast. This is coming. We need to get together. We need to get on board. We need to talk about the developments of this technology, and we want it to go. The safeguards that are going to be necessary. And we need to make sure that we develop it to do the best for mankind, not compete with mankind. Some people are going to go over the edge on it, but I think we're going to have to develop safeguards for that. We're going to have to adapt. The sexuality part of it is going to push this technology forward. People can't be afraid of that. They're going to understand that in order to innovate, in order to produce, they got to sell. It says, like a libido mismatch, doll banger refers to age difference as a physical emotional mismatch. It's a different era in your life. Let's face it. I'm coming to the end of my life. I've accepted and I understand that, but I have to tell you, the dolls have actually made me happier sexually towards the end of my life than I probably had been in 15 years. Yeah, I'll play this here. So that's 10 seconds only. Creepy. So fucking Dick Dollbanger or whatever his name is. And then everywhere too, not everywhere, but when I was looking into this popping up, there's like brothels of sex robot brothels popping up and popping up everywhere, right? This way you can go to a brothel here. How do they clean them out is what I want to know. A robot brothel in Italy has been shut down by police less than 2 weeks after it opened. Lumi Doll's latest bordello in Turin was closed after alleged infringements of Italian property law, Italian media reports. The closure comes after the firm's second brothel in Barcelona was forced to move to a new location after the building's landlord canceled the lease. Lumi Dolls also has a brothel in Moscow, Russia, and the firm plans to open other sex dens across the world. It is believed Italian cops raided the Turin brothel after checks showed it was not legally allowed to run hospitality on premises. Hygiene authorities are now carrying out an investigation to see if the firm's doll cleaning met all standards. That's what I'm saying. How do you clean that thing out? As you know, in Italy, prostitution is 100% legal. That's what the owner of Lumi Dolls says. Customers have the option to have new sexual experiences in a safe and secure place. They pay $87 per half hour, $108 an hour to rent a room with the sex robots. Sex doll Katie is one of the hyper-realistic silicone beauties on display. The agency's websites tell guests they will hardly distinguish between dolls and real women. This allows them to fulfill their wildest fantasies. Each of the dolls has a profile describing their attributes, from Lily's angelic face to Katie's penetrating gaze. Guests can choose what their dolls wear and watch porn with them, because that's what the doll wants to do. What about the dolls that say no? Do they have them in there? This is a coffee shop I saw in Geneva that offers sex robots with the coffee. This is going to be a thing, man, in the future. Planned cafe that offers customers sex robots with their order of coffee. Face Girl is the name of the company in Switzerland. He announced he would open a coffee shop that caters to, coffee drinkers with appetites. The idea was modeled on coffee shops in Thailand, which offer similar services. Initially, he planned to staff the cafe with sex workers, a legal, albeit strictly regulated industry in Switzerland, but that proved legally undoable. Paid for sexual services are banned in public establishments under the law, catering to the sale of drinks, he said. The initial plan prompted backlash too, blah, blah. And the price, let's see. He said he hopes to charge 60 Swiss francs for coffee with benefits. He said he's in talks with an American company that manufactures lifelike Randy robots with the price tags from $1,800 to $3,000. Or in coffee enthusiast terms, up to 570 venti pumpkin spice lattes. I don't know what to say, man. It's just accelerating so much. Here's another one. Robot brothel in Korea. All over, right? With many of these shops that offer the sex with robots popping up in Europe and Canada, some technology pundits here are cautiously suggesting Korea may have to deal with this controversial issue in the near future. Advocates say sex with robots can reduce the need for sex workers and help disabled people enjoy the same pleasure. But opponents argue sex robots cannot replace women and they will dehumanize the relationship between men and women. That's what it seems like it's all about, man. Dehumanize everyone so they don't know what they're doing anymore. Here, with the pandemic going on here, naturally antibacterial sex doll companies trying to cash in on that thing, man. Abyss, that's what they're called, the makers of the real dolls, assured potential buyers that the dolls are free of that sickness. Self-isolation doesn't have to be the worst. All real dolls are made from platinum-grade silicone and are naturally antibacterial and non-porous. Want one? The company's caption reads. So they're using that thing to promote this and push this out more as people are lonely, people are scared to leave their house and everything, and they're promoting it as this is good for it. It's creepy. They look like men. That looks like a man with a wig or something. Sorry, but to break the existing perception towards China-made sex dolls, is there a really high risk of product to human viral transmission? One firm answer: no. There is no medical proof that upholds this claim. Sex dolls assembled or imported from China have caused no harm to people. Another sex doll maker called Silicone Wives also tried capitalizing on it with a giveaway contest to help with the stay-at-home orders. I don't know what I can say. I'm just going to go away from that one because it's talking too much about. And then I was looking too, they also have articles or debates or whatever about the ethics of this and everything like that. Considering the huge impact sex robots may have in the realms of philosophy, psychology, and human intimacy, it's hard to pinpoint the primary ethical dilemmas surrounding the production and adoption of sex robots in a society, as well as considering who stands to be affected the most. Will sex robots impact gender boundaries? Sex robots will always be genderless artifice. However, allowing sex robots to enter the human sexual arena may allow humans to broaden their sexual fantasies. Sex robots may be able to replicate both genders through customization and add-on parts. As previously mentioned, the introduction of genderless artifice who do not resemble humans may positively impact human sexual relations by broadening sexual and intimate boundaries. Who will use sex robots? It says. Males would always be more likely than females to have sex with a robot. But what about a back massager? Can sex robots be used to help those with physical or mental challenges access sexual pleasure? Sex robots may allow people to practice sexual acts or receive sexual acts that they are otherwise unable to obtain due to serious disabilities. The ethics behind such a practice have been divisive between radical feminists who deny sex as a human right and critics who think it could be medically beneficial and therapeutic. Will sex robots replace human lovers? Come on, never, ever, right? I hope. I mean, I would assume, it's one of those things, man, the very slow creep. So you'll see it be It'll slowly creep up to 10%, then 20%, then 30% will have a robot partner or something. Especially as the tech gets more and more high tech, right? Will sex robot prostitutes replace human sex workers? Well, it's called the oldest profession, right? So I doubt it. But even older profession than human sex worker is a tattoo artist, right? Because you know those first hookers had tattoos. So the real oldest profession is tattoo artists. Is it wrong to hurt a sex robot? Wait, this one first, it says, how could it be dangerous? And then they say, it's just, there's not enough research. It's more about how we treat them. It says, is it wrong to hurt a sex robot? Sex robots will allow humans to explore sexual boundaries. However, this could also mean that people choose to use sex robots as ways to enact violent acts such as rape and assault. Although some would argue robots cannot feel, so violence towards them is less morally corrupt than humans, the violent act may still have implications for the reinforcement of such behaviors in society. If we enact violence on a machine that looks human, we may still associate our human counterparts with such artifice. Will negative behavior we practice on sex robots become more acceptable to reciprocate on humans? Will the fantasy of violence on robots make it commonplace in wider society? Roboticists and ethicists have been concerned about these issues when considering sex robots, but there's simply not enough empirical evidence. Wild. This one here is from CBS News. No evidence sex robots have any health benefits. So they try to say like, oh, it's good for you and it's gonna help, disabled people and like basically like autistic people or whatever, stuff like that. You know what I mean? As artificial, and real quick, throw that Discord link in there one more time. What's up, Danielle? King George in the house. Benton. What's up, my man, Benton? Make sure you go to nightmaredystopia.com. Follow Benton's podcast. This says, as artificial intelligence continues to evolve, things that used to only exist in science fiction movies are now becoming a reality. One of the latest examples is sex robots, somewhat realistic mannequins, though far from Westworld quality, with variable ages, appearances, and textures. They're priced between $5,000 and $15,000, and the industry is estimated to be worth $30 billion. But while sex robots are often marketed as not just high-end sex toys, but as having certain therapeutic uses and possible health benefits, new research challenges those claims. The report looked at all available scientific evidence on the topic and faced a huge roadblock. There isn't any. We found a number of health claims were being made, which we analyzed. Study co-author Chantel Cox-George, an academic foundation doctor at St. George's University Hospital. Among the claims, that sex robots might help safe sex, be therapeutic for people with sex or companionship problems, and might reduce sexual abuse of children. However, in the end, we were unable to find any empirical evidence in the medical literature to support or refute any of these. One manufacturer of sex bots, California-based Realbotics, said that many of its customers purchase their products for more than just sex. They're not just these nasty, dirty perverts who can't get enough sex. It's really about companionship, Matt McMullen, founder of Realbotics, told CBS Bay Area. For me, the idea of conversing with this character and actually stimulating a bone that's actually above and beyond the physical, that was what was appealing to me. Oh, Brick. Here's our boy Brick Dollbanger again. It says, Brick, a man who asked to remain anonymous and owns 5 sex robots, agrees. He runs an online forum and says loneliness plays a role. He explained how there are numerous owners who are amputees or disfigured. He says that many members who have trouble connecting with other people. Others, he suggested, may turn to bots after experiencing the loss of a spouse or significant other. I've talked to a lot of men on sites, men who've lost their mates 30, 40, 50 years, and they're crushingly lonely. it's that kind of transcends the whole sex thing. Realbotics even hopes to expand beyond sex and create other roles for the bots, such as companion for the elderly. But Cox George and co-author Susan Bewley of the Women's Health Academic Center at King George London searched for scientific or medical studies and found no data so far to support that these robots provide any therapeutic benefit. Another supposed benefit of sex robots that the researchers push back on is the idea that the devices might be a welcome option for people with disabilities. They respond, it seems patronizing to argue for a lesser sexual experience when most people with disabilities can form mutually satisfying relationships. Other arguments may have been put forth that sex bots may help curb or channel deviant behaviors such as rape or pedophilia. One manufacturer even offers childlike version known as a pedobot. That's literally what it says. And I saw that when I was going through this. Like and I've heard of it before. There's like child-sized ones or whatever. I chose to completely not even like look into that or show any of that on here because I don't even want to think about that. That shit's disgusting. The authors of the report note that sex bots used for such purposes may run the risk of normalizing the behavior. While many sex bot users may distinguish between fact and fantasy, some buyers may not, leading to concern about potentially exacerbating the risk of sexual assault and rape of actual children and adults, they write. Given this, the overwhelming lack of evidence on any effective treatments of sexual offenders against children, Cox and Bruley strongly caution against the use of sex bots for pedophiles, unless as part of a robust, scientifically and ethically acceptable research trials. There's no evidence to suggest sex bots could help reduce the spread of sexually transmitted infections or curb sex trafficking, sex tourism, or other aspects of the sex trade. Real quick, Peabody says, I'm against sex dolls, but women are almost intolerable because of social media. MGTOW. What else to say here? The overwhelmingly predominant market for sex robots will be unrelated to healthcare, they conclude. Thus, the health argument made for their benefits, as with so many advertised products, are rather spacious. Specious? So, CBS calls bullshit that they're good. And here's a story here. Sex robots will only further degrade our society. It seems pretty common sense, but the way they make it, the way they pitch it, and they try to sell it and make it sound good, and just the way they've normalized, porn, masturbation, everything. Then people are just like, oh yeah, less rapes, less sex workers. Sure, yeah. And then that's how it gets in there. Peabody says he's actually for families. I think everyone, I can't speak for everyone, but when you study this enough and you get into like believing a creator and everything, and then you realize what the whole game is about, the whole game from the elites is to break up the family unit. So yeah, I just said that to be funny. But what's up, Brad the Barbarian? What's good? If you worry about the broad, I don't know this word, esplanade of pornography on the internet, you'd better don your battle gear for the next chapter of the sexual revolution about to hit America. Sex robots, which are becoming surprisingly more realistic than the inflatable dolls of yesteryear, will unravel the fabric of society more than ever before, according to observers both Christian and non-Christian. Jewish ethicist Barak Lurie believes sex robots will be a greater threat to young people than iPhones or video games. You and I will have friends, mostly male, who are living with sex robots, and they will appear as lifelike as you can imagine, and they will have relationships with these sex robots because they will be as beautiful as they want them to be. They will be as sexy as they want them to be, and they will be as submissive as they want them to be. Robots was supposed to do our household chores, not this. And that's that Matt McMullen guy right there. That's the guy that makes them. From the Abyss. His company's named Abyss. Arguably, smartphones and pervasive pornography has significantly unhinged male social skills and upended traditional courtship. Why work at impressing women when you have an endless, easy supply of them over the internet, Lurie says. He says sex robots will degrade the social fabric even further. One of the greatest impetuses for men to produce and to grow and to be productive members of society is, sex, Lori says. So when you take that impetus away, the main impetus we have to try to achieve new things is to explore and conquer, then he's just going to stay in his mama's basement. Sex robots will be worse than porn because they will create the illusion of a relationship, the illusion of actually tactile skin-to-skin contact, which is very important for men. It will give the illusion that they are not just playing with themselves, that they're losers. Sex robots, alternately called sex dolls, will appeal because they don't say no to a man, because they can't accuse a man of rape or harassment, and because they require no winsomeness to woo female emotions, Lurie says. James Young is a BBC presenter who loves technology because robotics replaced 2 limbs he lost in a train accident. But in his recent documentary, The Future of Sex, Sex, Robots, and Us, he asks a disturbing question. Could there be a darker side to AI? What effects might having sex with a robot have on men who use them, he asks. Could they create negative behaviors in men towards women? These questions haunt Noel Sharkley, a computer scientist and professor at the University of Sheffield, co-founder and co-director of the Foundation of Responsible Robotics. The burgeoning sex robot industry unsettles him. It creates an attitude of too easy sex because it's always available. Although I love AI, I struggle what we must try to maintain a human culture, what is meaningful to us. We're doing all these things with machines because we can, and not really thinking about the societal impact and that this could completely change humanity and take meaning out of our lives and turn us into zombies. So, that's most of my links. I think I forget. There's one I was missing for sure. I was talking about. Hopefully you guys got in this Discord, man. A bunch of you. I've been keep throwing that link in here. There was one I had that was about making sure that these robots. Yeah, you won't get killed by a sex robot. Good news. After spending a fascinating 2 days on the subject at the International Congress on Love and Sex with Robots, where academics discuss everything from robot design to the ethics of programming lovers, I was surprised to learn from Gizmodo that sex robots may literally fuck us to death. How I wondered, could these otherwise thoughtful researchers allow humanity to walk into such a nightmare dystopia? I'll switch it around for Ben there. Far from warning of the dangers of oversexed robots, Bendel was actually trying to ensure that they don't fuck us to death. So while I might personally fantasize about the future headlines like Woman 102 sexed to death by robot boyfriend, it's unlikely I'll kick the bucket with such panache. Thanks to Bendel and others who are exploring these questions as artificial intelligence develops, sex robots will likely have built-in kill switch or kill the mood switch to prevent anyone from being trapped in a nightmare sex marathon with a never-tiring machine. Good. This one's training here for you. It's training for you, ladies. There's all right here. She posed an ethical question for the makers of realistic bots and dolls. How do you get permission from the person whose likeness you're using? Like, there you're talking about celebrity look-alike dolls and everything like that. And yeah, they always name Scarlett Johansson as the one then. So that's it, man. I'm done talking about sex robots, man. Let me see if there's any questions or anything in the chat. Wait, Alyssa Milano is Michigan governor? Moody Bug's got all the actor-based realities here. I'll keep it on oh man, you're right. How did I not see that before? I'm gonna look into that later. But when you get into these I'm trying to find the one. So this is the Harmony one that's like the main one. They say is like the top of the line one. But there's another one they call it like one of the top of the line ones. And it just looks so horrible. I can't believe they say that's like... I forget. Oh, it's this one, I think. Yeah, this weird looking one here. That's one they call Roxy, I think. Yeah, look at this thing. Who would even... I mean, they all look messed up. The other ones look kind of reverso, but this thing looks like a stroke victim or something like that, man. It's horrible looking, dude. I don't know, man. I'm gonna shut it down, I think. I felt good getting back on here with you guys. If you guys got any comments about this, leave it after the video or whatever. Make sure you join that Discord. Go to chalkbodyoutline.com. Follow me on all those different links I have. The last one I did, I had to take it down right away, so it's on BitChute. And then I also have a new set of t-shirts on the very top link. So I didn't have this ad up last time. This was the cover I made last time. And then I'm gonna have this shirt up for another like week or two. So I have it up here in black or olive, and then it's also got ringers. So if you guys want to support this stream, that's a way you can here. I got a few other different designs here, including this one, the skull and bones. Basically, you got a chemtrail and the thing. I can't even probably mention what it is by name. And these shirts come in all different colors. Drop these different drop-down menus. You can get whatever, ringers and ringer tee, long sleeve tee, or long sleeve shirt or whatever. And then since we're talking about artificial intelligence, AI did this. So it's like a post-apocalyptic scenario. Once the sex robots come and wipe us out, that's what it's going to look like. And you're going to know it was the AI. So if you did want to support the channel, that's the way you could right there. So thanks to everyone that was up here in the chat tonight. I'll definitely be back for sure on Friday night. And I don't know about any other time in between, maybe, but maybe on BitChute or whatever. I'll let you guys know when I do. So see you guys next Friday for sure, and maybe in between. I'd love to hear your comments and everything, and I appreciate your time. Thanks. Peace out.